reason he was killed, there was no one like him. I mean, he literally can relate to these young people. He can bring people together. He was going to be vice president,
No.
president.
He was going to be president.
100%.
No.
He was 6'3".
No. I'm not trying to denigrate the man's memory, but no, he was not going to be president.
Charlie Kirk destroys Tim Pool in this explosive Timcast debate. Sit down live. This clip examines claims about Charlie Kirk's massive influence and alleged assassination motive. I back Charlie Kirk's defenders demanding answers from the political and media elite. We'll also call out Candace Owens for promoting distracting rabbit holes and speculation. We will demand evidence, not theater, and expose establishment misdirection on this case. Like and subscribe for sharp conservative truth. Let's get into it.
Charlie's the one guy who, there was a reason he was killed. There was no one like him. I mean, he literally can relate to these young people. He can bring people together. He was going to be vice president,
No.
president.
He was going to be president.
100%.
No.
He was 6'3".
No. I'm not trying to denigrate the man's memory, but no, he was not going to be president.
He was absolutely
He's a young guy, maybe in like 15,
He
20 years,
was
100%.
a charismatic, quick-witted, fast talker who was well-read and 6'3".
Okay, you're charismatic and quick-witted. I
not
don't think
tall
you're going
enough
to be president. Okay, well, so it's the height. That's the
Absolutely.
difference
Height
there?
is a
That's
Garrett
very real.
It's a
That's
very
very
Charlie
real.
knew how to diffuse. He didn't yell at people. He literally knew how to talk to anyone,
understand
make
he's
them
talented. I
Without
understand he was
stunts.
talented.
This is why
I just don't
Kamala-
think he was influential.
Oh,
Kamala Harris wanted a
100% he
smaller
was.
podium because she didn't want to look small next to Trump. These things all matter. This is the crazy thing about macro-level politics. In this room right now, between all of us, if we were going to vote on who should choose lunch, it's actually very personal, and I'm going to have to look you in the eyes and say, trust me, I'm going to get you something that you really want. Turn it up to 300 million people. It does not matter what I say to you. It matters what color my tie is, and it matters if I'm fit, fat, or tall, or short. A short man with a squeaky voice is going to have a substantially harder time. Why? Even if it's only 0.1% shifting the vote patterns, we're talking about
Well, I'm not
hundreds of
denying
thousands of votes.
that height has an effect on perception, but I'm just saying that, again, like to say, well, you know, he had these qualities. I just don't think he was as influential as you were saying. I don't think he would have been president. I think he's been kind of romanticized after his death, which I understand that.
Who else, squarely in politics, had his growth of resources, organizational power, like party politics? Who else?
Well, I mean, I'd have to think about that.
No one. Turning point being at all of these high schools and colleges was him setting up the Charlie Kirk show nationwide. They're a $160 million organization now. They brought in just about 90 million last year. No one came close to that. And he did it through his own work and deals. Now, certainly, Joe Rogan, he did a big deal, like $250 million, whatever. He's not a politician. He's not going to run for politics, and he'd never get elected. People joked about how he should run because he should get elected, but he wouldn't.
What about Tucker?
Nope. Tucker, people have talked about Tucker maybe as like a VP. I actually, you know, I'd say this. I'd say Tucker would have had it a few years ago. He was close. He is tall. And he is very sharp, intelligent, well-read, and well-financed and all of those things. So Tucker certainly had the potential, but Tucker was a personality first and a political influencer second. Charlie was a political influencer first and a personality second. Charlie was a guy who got his start in advocacy, activism, and politicking. And then he used it to create a show where he effectively had a massive radio show and one of the biggest podcasts. His numbers were insane. And the fact that they still are extremely high, even though the show is not being led by him, says a lot. His name carried a lot of weight. So by all means, if there's an argument of he certainly was very big, but maybe not the biggest, I'd agree. That's a fine argument to have. But to argue that he's being romanticized, I think it's incorrect.
Could be.
I think, if anything, people aren't saying enough.
I think so too.
Like, I don't think people understand the scale of Turning Point USA. I think, if anything, people aren't talking about how much bigger Charlie was actually going to be.
And
President is like nice, but I'm historical figure. You know, who knows?
I like a fun game for Robbie to explain. You've been watching Candace pretty regularly.
I was
Have you
right
kept-
after the shooting, but I haven't been like the most recent stuff.
I always just like to ask what you've gathered from the evolution of her theories and conspiracies, because ideally you would get closer and things would start to narrow, right? But it seems like every week is a new suspect, and it's just so outstretched.
I don't know
it's
the most
impossible.
recent ones, but I mean, I
Like,
just
what
know,
do you think the
I think just the most
prevailing?
basic stuff of like, from me growing up, knowing that we've been lied to about things such as, Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy. I don't know. Do you believe JFK was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald?
Well, I believe all of that, but I think what.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So you would think, okay,
But just
we've
because
had
we've
this
been
in the
lied
past
to in the
before, and we've had cover-ups
right.
before, why are we just going to blindly believe an official story where we see some things?
That's the
far-
fallacy that Candace is using, though, to
Yeah.
manipulate her audience. The fact that we have an instance or maybe multiple instances where the government was covering stuff up does not mean, ergo, that this completely implausible, nonsensical, unproven conspiracy theory is valid. I mean,
Well,
I'm not attacking
I think,
you.
okay,
Still.
so you see the guy jump up and go,
Hold up. Don't let them gaslight you. Turning Point didn't spring up by accident. He would have been a real player. Don't sleep on that. Charlie built a cash machine and a grassroots army, and the media is desperate to pretend that doesn't matter because it threatens their gatekeeping. And yes, questioning official stories is smart. The establishment lied before, but the left will weaponize the conspiracy label to shut you down. All right, let's dive back in.
he did it, that George Zinn, stuff like that.
Yeah, okay,
How
Robbie.
does someone jump up and celebrate right away when someone gets
But-
killed unless they know it's going to happen?
You
Stuff
talk
like
to
that
the
doesn't make-
locals. George
maybe it's
Zinn is
coincidence.
That's a leap. I certainly have questions for the crazy guy who said he was trying to help the shooter. But why are all the leftists celebrating and calling for more? Are they on that too? The point is, there's another guy who jumped up and celebrated. But my
There was
question,
a lot of people celebrating.
my question for you, Robbie, is key bono. You know what that means?
Pro bono?
Key bono.
Who benefits?
Don't you watch Alex Jones? I learned this from him.
I haven't in a while. I did.
Who benefits?
Okay.
Who benefits from the killing of Charlie Kirk?
I mean, I think the elite. I think the liberal. I think
agreed.
the liberal establishment.
I agreed. Anybody else?
Those are the two that come to mind.
Leftists?
Yeah.
Antifa types, ideologues. Does Israel benefit from killing Charlie Kirk?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's not so easy, is it?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
The elites, yes, right? Charlie Kirk was pro-Trump. He was creating this this coalition, and he helped Trump win a second term. Who benefited the most from the death of Charlie Kirk? Progressives and liberal elites. One could argue that Israel might have benefited if Charlie really was going to abandon the Israel movement. However, like a month before Charlie was killed, he put out a seminar where he was advocating to Gen Z to support Israel. So I don't think that Israel benefited. So it's not so easy to say they benefited from Charlie's death. The question then is, who benefited from killing him? If we're going to start there and then ask questions, liberal elite, because they share ideology with the progressives, and this is a guy who got Trump elected. That makes the most sense. So when you look at the guy George Zinn who jumps up and says, "I did it," it's very strange. Okay,
He's
what
a
is he?
weirdo.
He's a progressive. He's not a Jew.
But he was involved in like 9/11,
right.
all these other things. Like, what are the chances of that him being there?
So-
He's not, though. You have to look into him. This
he was
is
involved
just
in 9/11.
George. If you talk to locals, they all know him as like the local lunatic who has all these stories. He's just
Robbie.
He goes to every event
Sure, it may
possible.
be a coincidence.
Who benefited from killing JFK?
I mean, we didn't go to we went to war. I mean, JFK didn't want to go to
we
war.
were at war.
JFK was talking about abolishing the Federal Reserve. There's a lot of people who benefit.
Indeed, and those people are all part of which group?
Liberal,
It's not so much liberal party, but
the elite. Sorry,
the elite, the established order, the machine state, the liberal economic order. We weren't going to allow the expansion of communism in Vietnam. We needed to go in, and he says, "I don't want to go in." Lyndon B. Johnson, a little different. So who benefited? The machine state. I think it's fair to question Lee Harvey Oswald's involvement. What he denied it, I believe, would happen. And then
the
Jack
Secret
Ruby,
Service is pulled off of the
and
car.
then Jack Ruby walks up, shoots him, and then Ruby gets killed. Didn't Ruby get killed in prison? A lot of questions about that, and that's totally
well, he
fine. That's
died
totally
of
fine.
cancer,
I'm not saying I know
supposedly.
for sure, but I sat down with Ron Paul himself, and I asked him, and he said the CIA killed him. I asked RFK Jr. who killed your uncle and your dad, and it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure he said the CIA killed him. So okay, that actually aligns with cost-benefit analysis. So then when we get to the Charlie Kirk thing, if we apply the same standard, it's the same group of people. Established government, internal intelligence, etc.
It's the same people telling Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. They're saying the Epstein, right? And they're saying, no, now he killed himself. They switched their stories. Who's feeding them the information to change their stories?
Bro, my assumption is that Kash and Dan get in, and they're like, now we can finally make a difference. They're brought into a skiff, and there's like a shadowy figure smoking a cigarette,
There you go.
and then he slides a picture of their children over, and he goes, "You will do as told." You know?
Yeah,
well, it's
we've got
also
dirt
just
on you.
difficult to master these
Who do you guys think? Do you think
bureaucracies,
Epstein?
too.
Do you believe the official story on Epstein? Do you,
Bro,
Hey, I'm torn about that. I talked to the inmate who was
I
his
think he committed
inmate.
suicide. I do.
I think he might have killed himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of disagreements.
Well, here was a guy who wouldn't even eat at a
do you know how hard it is to kill yourself
restaurant.
in the jail
He
cell? Like
wouldn't
the way
even
that they
eat
said
at
he
a
did it?
5-star restaurant because he was so picky in his taste, and yet he's being served for the rest of his life. Prison slop. Yeah, I think he knew the score. He knew he was going to be in prison for the rest of his life.
Wow.
And he checked out.
I've talked to his brother though. His brother absolutely.
There's
believes
no
he
way.
was
The
murdered.
cameras mysteriously are out that night. There's too many
guards fell asleep.
There's always weird stuff
inconsistencies.
when things happen.
The
That's what I'm
autopsy is
saying,
really
though.
weird.
So-
That the private autopsy that his brother ran is really
and they
interesting.
put out surveillance footage with missing footage
Yeah.
that wasn't even of the
I'm gonna
cell,
say
like-
his brother kind of changed my mind. I was very
That's
much
what I'm saying.
Like, yeah.
So you
But
know,
listen,
But again,
don't-
who are
keeping
those
open-
people? Who are those people they brought to the White
Robbie.
House holding up the Epstein thing? Who are those people?
You're right.
Me.
You're,
That was you? Are you joking? So then, what's the deal with that? So then, what did they?
Well, that was
so
just a
what the?
stunt
Why are they
gone
not
wrong.
coming out
I
now
mean-
going, "Yo,
Robbie,
we've been lied to"? What's
this is how Candace has repped you up and damaged you.
we can
No,
talk.
that's the point.
that was you?
Listen.
Yes. I didn't hold it up,
asked
okay?
an honest question about the Epstein things that make no sense, right?
Yeah.
If we were to follow that same logic with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it points to U.S. intelligence, Democratic aligned, progressive aligned. But Candace is telling you it's Ben Shapiro, Turning Point, and Israel. Why? Why does she want you to think the wrong thing? Why is the wife of a British lord on the front page of YouTube telling you to think crazy things instead of what you already know the U.S. established order does?
Because her history is to go down these rabbit trails. You can go back to even like her early years, and you can see that she's just a wildly untrained mind that has gravitated her entire career to conspiracy theories, even going back to her,
Indeed.
her earliest
The question
work.
then
It
is,
makes a lot of money.
when Robbie asks the legitimate question of how did Epstein kill himself? Why did the cameras go down? We're all curious about that. It leads to what? Powerful elites who don't want to be exposed took out Epstein. Charlie Kirk got Trump in. They are trying to arrest, they did arrest Donald Trump. They're trying to imprison him. So who is the most beneficiary of the assassination of Charlie Kirk is not Israel, Egyptian planes, or Ben Shapiro. So then, I'm not saying Candace is part of a conspiracy. I'm
Right.
saying she is twisting what you already know to be true into retardation. That's the point. If she was doing her show talking about how she thought that Democrats, the intelligence agencies were involved, I'd be going like,
Well, I mean,
you
look,
know?
when the court case comes out, then I guess she'll lose all credibility if what you're saying is true. And so, because obviously, the evidence will come out in trial, right? So then,
Yeah.
we only have a
and
matter of
it's-
time if that's
yeah, like
if
the
that's
evidence
correct.
of the JFK thing.
Bottom line, Charlie Kirk mattered. Turning Point USA was massive and visible. That makes motives real. What this clip exposed was how fast the narrative gets shaped. Tim Pool pushed for answers. Robbie and others pushed questions. Candace Owens kept swinging at new suspects without proof. This moment mattered because it showed two things at once. Power draws enemies, and the media will rush to tidy explanations. We should suspect the machine. We should also demand evidence. Tell me in the comments, was Charlie Kirk targeted because Turning Point USA mattered? Be specific. If you want more reactions like this, hit like and subscribe. They can scrub the posts and spin the stories, but influence leaves fingerprints. See you in the next one.